Alright guys and girls, we're going to be starting on the gearbox build, and if you stayed with me this far, fantastic. Hopefully you'll continue. Um, so we're going to start this little B1 which has oil on it, which is an old oil cap for this thing, and apparently back in the day they might have used drops of oil. And that screws on with a 3x12 BB2 self-tapper. And if you're unsure, each side of the column on each page has a full-size diagram of all the parts, mostly all the parts. Obviously the chassis and the body's not true to scale. And that would go in there like that. Take your screwdriver, just screw it in. And then once that's done, we're going to start using the B3, which is where the oil cap screws on. You're going to grab your 1150 bushings, or ball bearings in this case. I got ball bearings rubber sealed. And I already pushed them in. One's in there, one's in here. Outside one's pushed a little hard. Now, you don't have to grease the shaft if you're using bearings. I'm going to put a little on there just because if you're using the standard setup, it tells you to. Not to mention, the grease is actually going to help keep moisture and dirt getting in there as well, even though the rubber's sealed. Did you see what I did? Yep. I forgot to grab the gears, and I forgot to put the gear in. To quote Robin Williams, well, I feel sheepish. All right, let's try this again. Slide the axle out. Take your MG1, which is your differential, large differential gear, I guess you could call it. And then slide shaft back in. And now the gear is in. Awesome. So now we'll move over to the other side. We'll slip the bearings in first. As you can hear how hard that one pushed in. Okay, so that one's in. Now, grab your other large differential bevel gear. Slide it on the shaft. Again, I'm going to put just a little bit of grease on there. You're not going to need a lot with the bearings. Do not forget your BC7 5x5.5 millimeter spacer that they show you right in here, that goes on after the bevel gear. And try not to drop it. Once that's on, you can slide that into place. Then you're going to need your BD1, which is a 5x30 millimeter shaft. Slap that right in place there. Again, I'm going to put a little grease on it just because. Then you're going to take your what is this? This is the BT5 counter gear. And you know, sometimes you'll put they don't fit and snug. They'll just fall out. But this one fits snug. Ooh, Bobby, put the gear in first. Well, all right, that didn't work. All right, put the gear in first. Yeah, a little snafu, never hurt anybody. All right, put the counter gear in first because it doesn't quite fit over the differential gear. All right, so take your little 850 bushing, bronze bushing, or again, if you're using bearings, use the bearing. And slide that into place. And for some reason, I'm having There we go. That pushes on quite snugly also. So I probably should have done that first. Okay, so the gear case B4, the other one was B3. It looks like they swap over. Going back to this one. And it's time to build up the differential itself. So let's get on with that. Take a little bit of your grease. And I will show you what I'm doing in a second here. These little recesses in here for your differential gears pins should have a little bit of grease on them. You're going to take your differential gears, put a little grease on them, slide them through, and they are shaped and contoured to go around with the differential gear itself. So crack on and get this done. When you're done, you got your differential gears, your spider gears, and everything else done in here. There's a little pin here, BC6. It's a 3mm step pin. Do not lose that, or you'll be searching for days trying to find it. Put a little grease on that. I'm going to stick it in to the differential first, to that gear that I already put in. Then I'm going to drop the differential gear. I'm sorry, I meant axle. And the axle shaft first. If I can get the dang thing to line up, that would be awesome. Just can't get it to line up. Oh, there we go. There we go. And you can see it popping through there. All right. Then you're going to take your grease. I put too much on there. Just put a dab on there, or you can go hog wild and put a ton on there. Honestly, it doesn't need a lot. I just put a couple of drops here and there on it. It will circulate around and tend to mesh throughout the rest of the gears once it's together. So now that that's done, all you got to do is line up the case and the gears and the gear half and all that good stuff. Rotate it. Okay, that didn't fall out. That was just the oil cap that I didn't tighten down. And as you can see, the gear is spinning. So all that's done. So now all I got to do is get some of these screws. And those are BB2s. Those are 3x12s. I have them right here. You got one up in the upper corner here, depending on how you're looking at the gear case. You got one in the lower part and one in front of the axle itself. So you only got the 3 screws holding that together. I don't know if you can see that. So once you screwed all that together, then we can mount the motor